Do What You Do, Drake's debut performance. Up to this point, I had heard a ton of banging Boi-1da beats, but there were only a couple songs in the early days where the chemistry fit like a glove. One in particular was a track called East Meets West, which featured Aristo, BBM's host, Young Tony, aka Hush from OVO, and Blitz, R.I.P. I still love this song to today. Years later, I remember Boi-1da saying that this was one of his favorites too, but there was another song that pretty much stopped me in my tracks. I believe this is the first time people began to hear Wonda's production on the radio and in the clubs. The song was Do What You Do, and the first time I heard it, I was a fan of the song. As soon as I heard the intro drums come in, it took me back to my early hip-hop days when Run DMC, LL Cool J, Houdini, and UTFO ran the game. It brought me right back to 83, 84 to my childhood breakdance days. I was actually stunned for a minute, trying to understand what inspired Wonda to create this kind of track. Not only was he not born when this style of hip-hop reigned, but nobody at the time was really trying to bring it back to the 80s, production-wise. 95% of the producers coming out of Toronto in 2006 were continuing the legacy that Pete Rock, DJ Premier, Alchemist, Timbaland, Dr. Dre, Neptunes, Just Blaze, Swizz Beatz, J Dilla, and RZA set in motion. And to my knowledge, none of those legendary producers were trying to tap back into the 80s production sound at the time. Nevertheless, the track was an instant Toronto classic in my books. I had been listening to Toronto rappers for the past 20 years, but I didn't recognize the voice I heard on the track. I came to find out it was a rapper who went by the name of Drake, an unusual name for a rapper in that day, but the artist's talent was undeniable. I asked Wonder if the rapper on his beat was interested in performing the song at the upcoming battle. I also asked him if I could use the song for the documentary we were working on for BBM. He unofficially confirmed both. Anybody who got the BBM documentary DVD would have heard it as the intro music. At the time, as a producer, Boi-1da was the star on the streets of Toronto, while Drake was a TV star, but not connected to the street audience in any way known to us. BBM was going to be Drake's debut rap performance, as he would later proclaim himself during his performance. He was coming from the TV world as an actor off Degrassi, The Next Generation. Although I had gone to Weston Collegiate with a cast member named Deo Ade, aka BLT, from the Degrassi Junior High series, I was by no means a fan of the later Degrassi series that Drake starred in. I actually never knew who he was. So when he showed up at the door with Boi-1da and Entourage, I gave him the standard handshake, hug, embrace, but I could tell he was just getting his feet wet coming to a street-oriented event like BBM. He appeared cool, calm, and collected, yet I could sense his desire to get that street stamp of approval. He didn't really get a formal introduction when he hit the stage. I pretty much just handed him the mic like, okay, let's see what you got. He started his set off with a freestyle rhyme, referencing the state of hip-hop in Toronto at the time. Some of the local names, places, and things he mentioned included Apple, Julie Black, Mayhem Moriarty, Regent Park, Glenn Lewis, Socrates, D10, JB, Project Bounce, and Little X, known as Director X. Being the tough crowd that Toronto is, I'm sure he was relieved to get the love he did after the freestyle. He slid into Do What You Do, and the rest was history. He ended his set with a song that featured a verse from the duo The Clips, which was a big deal at the time to the crowd's approval. Having a U.S. rap group co-sign was a big deal for a Toronto artist. It would be impossible to foresee at the time that a co-sign from Drake years down the road would equally be a big deal for a U.S. artist or any artist for that matter. Funny how things changed.